So today's my birthday, and I thought I'd make a video. Um, 41 years old, same birthday as my dad. I didn't do anything today. Ate some regular food. Just tried to review. Didn't do really too much thinking now of my life, but I just felt like I'm not really very welcomed to go out eat comfortably at a restaurant, and I don't want to ruin the day because I don't want to get any more pissed off, going to a restaurant and then something, they getting some trash food or something happens, and then I'm like, pissed off. So I figured I'd kind of enjoy just some more comfort instead of getting pissed off. I talked to my mother and told her to call her. Her could call me in case just an emergency or someone's dead or something happens, and I think that is probably more important because, I really feel that they're manipulating my mother, and my mother's a very tough person to begin with, and there's a lot of shit that's going on, so I know it's not so much of a big deal, but she knows that I'm on lockdown. They got me tied down pretty bad, and, far greater than people who understand. But what do I think? January 6th, I'm 41 years old, life expectancy, experiences, things I got to do, and things I didn't get to do. And it's always frustrating because I'm living sort of by someone else's book, not really so much of my own that I feel, and I know that there's tragedy up the ass. It's just waiting for me. I'm constantly always waiting to walk into a hospital setting room where Frankie's going to be there and mentally handicapped and can't think for himself, and the emotions are going to be transferred to Sarah Cooper, Madison, and Kenneth and all this other shit, and then you're going to just brainwash the shit out of everything and thinking that my life or Frankie's life and these events really didn't count for shit. It counted for them to have a fucking good time and look good and have everyone vote for them because you want to feel sorry for that more. Just as what you did to me is what you did to Frankie. And if Frankie can't talk for it, and even if Frankie's healthy, God, I hope Frankie's healthy. It would be a very challenging conversation, without a doubt, because I think he's going to want to deal with all of it. That's my opinion. He's going to want to deal the brunt with everything. That's what I believe he will do. And I know that he would be like, so what? Like, we moved on. Like, why are you bringing it up? And that's how he will be. And it's better to say something because in the final ends of my own life, getting cancer or some disease or something happens to me, or they decide to kill me or do something, that is the last conversation of any existence that I'm ever going to have. And it's the same thing for everyone else that's out there in that cemetery. That was the last thing that they ever said to their people, and what they did, good, bad, whatever it was. There's no more talking for them anymore. But I think it's important while I'm alive. And I keep hitting these electronic devices, pissing me off. But I think it's important. They got me in the rat hole pretty bad. But I'm trying to make the most of it. I'm going to amp it up a lot to complete this GED. I feel very confident that if I got a 141 on a math test, I will be able to pass this math a lot easier. I feel even more confident that I may not even have to have a tutor. I think I can learn this on my own. I think I can take this math test and review and study it enough to actually teach myself by watching these videos, which I honestly believe I thought was going to be horrible. I mean, they didn't have any multiplication. They had maybe one addition question, and it was a worded question. They didn't have, all this was like arithmetic, geometry. They were pretty challenging. But I reviewed, I talked about this in my other video. I think I did. But as far as my birthday goes, it doesn't bother me the fact that, my dad did that to himself. I've been through a lot of shit. I'm 41 years old. I've already outlived a lot of people, and it passes by pretty fast, and I never know what's going to happen. So, I wish I had been able to be around Jillian and Frankie. Those are my siblings. But I think that the best thing that I'm ever going to be able to do is reach out, is to make these videos. Whoever has the time to sit around and watch these videos and be collective on this information and abstract what's useless and what's useful and make an understanding to it, to something that they can point the finger at and how they're going to be doing their dividing, well, there you go. Otherwise, it'll be a lost story like Frankie's. And the world is an awful place. It's an awful place. There ain't no sunshine and rainbows. And it's very unfair to a degree. I believe that especially it was, to my immediate family, that there's so much of that which just, to a degree, we all get squandered, a lot. But to the degree that I believe that this happened to my immediate family, shouldn't have happened this way. This was, this is really bad. This was from a really deep core of selfish greed and selfishness, and I don't have a problem going back to work for 8 hours a day, and living the rest of my days like that. I worked pretty hard jobs and labor jobs my life, during the long periods of my life, and this isn't so much of like, oh, I didn't get to be famous, or I didn't want to be that, and it's none of that. So, like I said, they got me tied down pretty bad, and I'm going to be sending these gifts, whether they like it or not. They can throw them away, they can give them away, whatever it is, but it was a gift to these people, and hopefully it's appreciated, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and hopefully they find a balance with this, because we're all old now, and I think it's important. I don't really think of my dad so much, because the older I get, the less I remember him, just like everyone else. I know it's kind of tough on, without Julian, Julian and Frankie know that I had the same birthday as my dad. So, that kind of rings some bells there, I'm sure it does. But like I said, had, this situation been any better, I don't think they would have fixed it a long time ago. They would have made it better, but shit hit the fan whenever, the whole Patricia and all these other shit that was going on, and it's too late, It's not a big deal, I'd celebrate it different and enjoy it a little bit different, but just to be moderate, in my opinion, something simple. But I enjoyed not to be too pissed off and angry, and that's really what I wanted. I didn't want to go to a restaurant and get something to eat and start getting agitated, and then just start getting agitated throughout, ruin my day. So I figured that this would be more contentful for me, and to prevent that. And that's what I have to say, is, it's always the couple of days after that. I think after my birthday, I was like, I'm 41 years old now, and it's usually not on my birthday that I feel like this. It's always like the day or two after my birthday that I start looking really kind of, when I complete that, and I look back and be like, some of the things that I did and said and got to do, what value they have, what impact that they have on others, good and bad, to the things that I could control and things that I couldn't control, and the things that put me in problems entirely because of somebody else's fault and not my own. And religious beliefs. It's a very difficult situation. I think it's a lot easier to deal with when you don't go through a near-death experience. when you're dying in a hospital and you're very sick and you went through the shit that I went through, and you get persecuted religiously with electronic devices and this and that, it becomes extremely difficult, because when I'm dead, I'm dead. These people just go on and get the fuck out of my life, or do whatever they want to my, whatever story bullshit they did. It doesn't change what my existence is no longer. I just fucking trash into I become part of the fucking earth and dirt. I deteriorate, decompose, but the existence of what people would consider spirit, soul, entity, energy, whatever those components are, in existence either remains, goes to a good or bad, or whatever it may be, in different understandings. But I, for my example, like to believe in a higher power, and I think it's always healthy, and it's nice to know that maybe there was a higher creation that gave a shit about human beings, no matter how bad it was. And it's hard to believe that sometimes, how monstrous people were through history and in this present day. It becomes difficult to sometimes believe that there is a God that allowed the most unbelievable, unimaginable things, and you have to see that in person in order to be able to get a grip to what human life is, and for human beings and what they do to stay alive. The crazy, the prisons, the history of genocide, and you're really not any different than these energy components of other people. We don't know. We have different religions and perceptions, but it sure as hell feel comfortable when you're very content with your own spirituality. Then you're just going to get a chariot farewell with wings up to a paradise, and you really didn't do much shit in life. All you really did is just have a good time and live the fantasy world of comfortable, and when it was all over, you just, oh shit, But keeping things perspective is key role, I believe. Pretty key perspective. And but like I said, it's another day. 41 years old, and hopefully I get another 20. I'm closer to what I remember saying all the time, or thinking to myself when I was 23 years old. I believed if I ate healthy enough and sustained my body enough, I could live another 20 years at most. I believed I was going to get cancer, tumors, within 10 to 15 years, maybe 20 years at tops. And it's still, I still haven't reached 20 years. I'll be 20 years when I'm 43. And it's very likely a tumor or something, because I had done enough drugs in my life, and I had had aplastic anemia, and the more that I began to review, that, I did get poisoned. I had aplastic anemia. That's why I was bleeding so much. It was like water coming out of my face and coming out of my nose. The blood was very thin. Deterioration of arteries and heart muscle tissues and whatnot. The likeliness of the reality of me sustaining a middle-aged 55-year-old person is extremely rare and unlikely without something major happening. And it's the reality. You'll see that in the medical field, in hospitals and nursing homes. You can go to nursing homes right now and just take a look what's there. And like I said, it's just another day for me. The older I get, the less I remember more of my father. And I don't try to glorize him more. It was always kind of more about appreciating another year of life. Like whatever this life brings us. That's kind of how it was. Because, we started going with a family out to eat on our birthday. I was very young. My mother used to make piñatas in our backyard a couple of years and had family members. And Frankie had a piñata a couple times, and we were, my mother fixed up a birthday cake in the backyard, and it was, on the picnic table, and there's several of us, and my mother really enjoyed it. I remember my mother picking out a piñata for me, or I told me to pick out a piñata, and I remember, when I was a kid, and she really tried hard. So did my father. My mother used to fix up those birthdays, and I recall that, that my I was probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9. We started going out to eat to restaurants instead of my mother making a cake, and then it was my father committed suicide, for when I was 12, and then all that shit, and then from about 13 or 14 on forward, he was eating at a, simply eating at a restaurant, getting something to eat. So I was for a few years, and then it was just to really kind of celebrate life, because that state of mind of how my father was at that time, because already before and after, the majority was after, it was just a very simple appreciation that there was another year of life. Whatever this life was going to bring, we were alive. We don't know what was going to happen, but we're alive. And not really looking so much into the afterlife, or securing a place with, paradise, and then, having a cherry picking time while you were alive, and then you just paradise all over again, huh? But, yeah, and, there's, some people can let go a lot easier, but there's just a lot of stuff that goes on that nobody knows about all the different sort of tactic shit that they did, and can't get that time back, and but yeah, it's just to review. Look, didn't really think. I thought, and it could still happen. It still could happen in a year or two from now. And that was it for me. It's all downhill from there. And I think it's harder whenever you go through such an impacting experience so young, because then when you go through a whole lot of dark, more shit as you're getting older and all this other shit, it becomes more difficult, because they religiously persecute you, and then the electronic devices and all that. But it doesn't change that when I'm exterminated, the people shooting electronic devices and all this other stuff that's going on, they're fine. They just go about their business and know how to jump into the holy water pool, and it's paradise again. Feel good. They get a second chance. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. That's why I say faith is more important. But yeah, I think that it sort of made it that much more difficult. But hopefully there's another 20 years. That's kind of talking crazy. Without something bad happening. And never know what to expect. It is definitely a journey of unknown circumstances that can unfold. All the time. Obviously, we know this through tragedies of our own relatives and whatnot, but then, ourselves. And I know exactly that rhythm, that practice, that understanding. You go into a hospital, and, that was it. That's everything. That's all you got. Did you have a good time? Did you accomplish what you think you were supposed to accomplish? Were you selfish? You won't remember very much of it. You'll be more likely pleading for your life. That's what you'll be doing. And scared, and fixating the mind to hope you go to you hope you go to a better place. And it's not too bad that you're going to get chewed out for what you didn't do, and then maybe get 6 months of hell, instead of eternity. But that's a road that very few people understand. Not too many people understand very young. But make the most of it. I personally feel like I gotta travel. I gotta look for hope. That's how I just feel about the situation. I don't know if it's just because I was just so young doing it for so many years. I'm telling you, like, ain't nobody was as journey as going through journeys and walking trips and going to friends' houses more than I was. I mean, you got no kid in that elementary school that was walking those distances, and when this friend couldn't play, got done, I felt like I wanted to do more shit, and I'd go over to another friend's house, see what's going on over there. I go home, check in, so I'd always also keep a very balance with family and friends, checking in with Frankie and Jillian. But all these are memories. I never made a life of my own. There's a lot of things, if and ends, that I'm never going to anymore. I know that I'm HIV positive, and they're not telling me. And that's another death wish. Pretending along like, oh, it's just, that's just why. But they understand. They're trying to make life beautiful, because I'm not understanding sure exactly how the psychological world of what enforcement they have to do. But that's pretty sure. I think that they've thought it out very well. And that is why, because I personally feel more comfortable knowing that, okay, I was HIV positive and I can go out my life like somebody, doctor's office and, group of people. I would feel very comfortable with that. I feel much more, okay, well, this is, instead of just second guessing shit, but I'm not the ruler, and I'm not the decision maker. But, I had some other topics I wanted to talk about. They're very disturbing. And I want to say, I love my mother very much. Strong person, but she can deal with it. And, she just doesn't understand. And, I understand why why the way that she was, because the scumbags that they want to make into heroes and what they did, there is such a list of things that I will never get to talk about that was unnecessary. There's, it's an awful story. So, untold things, because they were, so selfish and greed, and they have their own conspiracy things in life that goes on. They want to feel empathetic for people that were very bad in life, very bad, and they're poisonous flowers in disguise. I have earthly no idea, because then that's the way that they lived, and this and this and this and this, and nobody wants to believe me how disgusting Kenneth was, and how they feel sorry for this motherfucker, and all these different situations, and this one's white over here, Madison, and then it's like, oh, get some of that white power, and then resin that all over the fucking floor, so that you can go ahead and it's the values of intelligence, to understand you have to even discuss these things to maybe someone who's going to give a shit, and whenever you think they do, they really don't give a shit, and there's nothing you can do. They just use you for resources and run off. They are measuring life very differently. So, make some other videos. Just another day. 41 years old. Maybe next year, celebrate my birthday a little bit better. Have a little bit more fun. But I haven't drank any alcohol. I'm trying to go. I'm going to complete the entire year. In March, I think was it March or May? It was either March or May that it'll be a full year. I haven't had a single drop of alcohol, and and a single any type of meat at all, other than type of anything from the sea, seafood and whatnot. But as far as burgers and any type of pork, beef, chicken, and it'll be a full year. So, and to complete my GED. So yeah, I'm going to talk about some really disturbing things that kind of go about me being raped and molested, and me being molested and raped, and that I think that if Frankie was perfectly fine, if he is, then he'd be able to tell you the truth about that. And if my mother's perfectly fine and faked whatever happened, and she can remember this, and she's going to tell you the same thing. If not, then that's the end of that. But I'm going to make another video about that.